Man United won, AC Milan won. We conceded at the death there. Dean Henderson has to do way better. Should have saved it. But on the balance of play, AC Milan definitely deserved it. I think they had too much for us at certain times. A really poor performance from us. And Doe with a fantastic goal from a Bruno Fernandes assist as well. Gets himself a little Chicharito backwards header. But it was poor performance. Looking like if we would have won it 1-0, it would have been almost like a bit of a smash and grab, like just get out, because it wasn't good.
Yeah, it was extremely poor performance. It's what we've been used to. Like, the inconsistency in this team is so recognisable. The way we played against City compared to today, Crystal Palace match, like, we're so hit and miss in certain games. And I think it's a mixture of the players that we have, the injuries obviously that we have as well, but also the style of play that we use depending on each match. I think today the midfield just didn't work for me. Matic and McTominay in the middle, I just think it just doesn't work. Like, them two together, there's absolutely zero pace. It's crab football. I mean, the passing is just so predictable, if not just completely off pace anyway. If McTominay is going to play in that role and be allowed to drive forward, he needs someone energetic with pace behind him, whereas Matic is just playing as a third centre-back, crab football, getting pushed off the ball. I just don't understand why he's still starting games for us. I know it's the Europa League, but it's AC Milan, and do you want to get through in the Europa League? I just don't get how he's still starting for us. And then obviously that caused a cut off between them two and Bruno, who was constantly trying to press. I mean, to be fair, you could work out pretty early that the pressing wasn't working from Bruno, because as soon as he pressed, there was just a massive gap in the midfield, and the pivot got absolutely pressed to death and it couldn't do anything. And games are won and lost in the midfield, and I do think we lost that midfield battle, and it's a massive part of the game. And I think that should have been changed a lot earlier than what it did. But again, it's in-game management and it didn't happen. So that's why we struggled to gain any sort of pace throughout the game, because I think even when we scored in the second half, we just went back to the same.
It was really poor after we scored, didn't it? It was probably like even worse.
If you're playing with slow pace, no tempo, and slow passes, you're never going to be able to create anything, because it's just so predictable and you can just get pressed. The way that we ever create anything is when you move the ball quickly, do a creative pass, or have some kind of rhythm, or make a run. There was so little movement from our front three. I mean, we never really brought the ball forward, but when we did, with the likes of like Maguire, sometimes Matic and McTominay did it, the front players in front of them were just static. And then when Diallo came on, Bruno, an excellent ball, like, it was a great ball, obviously, but it was just one vertical run in behind from Diallo, managed to get a header on it, and that's how we scored. But when you've got a lack of movement from so little in the game, it just shows the difference to when you do make a run, because that's how you're going to catch defenders off guard. And I just think it's so much harder to defend against the movement that you see than just when you stood still. It's so much easier for them to press you, and that's what they managed to do to us.
Yeah, AC Milan, I think, they moved the ball really well. They gave us a lot of problems at times. They, the way they looked after the ball, they exploit the spaces that they exploited. And to be fair, they were quite poor in some of the positions that they ended up in. We were lucky they wasn't more clinical or more ruthless in the way that they executed their moves. But was it a case of that they had a bit too much for us and it shows our frailties, or do you think it's more to do with the injuries and what was available to Solskjaer?
Both of them, because I feel like if you would have started Pogba in the pivot, we could have had so much more creativity, so many more creative balls over the top. His technical ability to get round players, his defensive work, I feel like you just would have got so much more with the likes of Paul Pogba. We know that he's one of the most talented midfielders that we have. And then we didn't have Rashford, that's usually a really big threat on the counter-attack, massive threat gone. And when you want to take your good players off, there's not really anything coming off the bench. So that kind of limited our opportunities as well. But I still think that we would have struggled in that game because of the way that we set up in the midfield. Like, just the way we got pressed, you can't allow yourself to get pressed like that. And they came at us quick, and I think we looked pretty nervous as well defensively. I really think we did. And they were just missing that number 9. Like, if Zlatan was playing today, I think we would have been even more goals down. I even think that their goal should have stood. So to be honest, we got off pretty lightly with the result. It's not as if they didn't deserve to score. But again,
McTominay could have got sent off as well. Yeah, should have got sent off.
Should have. It's just in-game management. And at the end, how many times, like, I don't want to hear the word corner again. How many times? Corner at the end of the match, you just know what's coming. And yeah, of course, it's a mistake from Dean Henderson, don't get me wrong. But you can't say just because he's made one mistake that he's completely written off. Do you know what I mean? I've seen people going absolutely mental. Of course, he shouldn't make that mistake. But it's one error. Everyone can make an error. If he's consistently making errors, then fair enough. But you've got to judge attributes. Every goalkeeper's going to make one error every now and again. You've got to judge it off his run of games, which we're still waiting to see the end of. But yeah, how he can get a free header in the last minute of the game, when you know you've got to be defending that set piece, how he can get a free header there is absolutely beyond me. And again, you're just asking yourself the question: what are we working on the training ground? Because that has been going on for months and months and months on end. I remember the Southampton game last season. Same thing happened then. We struggle to win games 1-0. I don't know what it is. It's like we collapse at the end of the game defensively, and it was poor, to be honest. It was a very poor watch. I know AC Milan are a good team, but I think with the players we've got, we should be playing quicker football and better football. If you get Bruno pressed out of the game like we did in the first half, we've got nothing creatively. Dan James offered absolutely nothing today. Greenwood was struggling on the right. When he came into the middle, I thought it looked a lot more lively. Martial was just getting absolutely no service.
No service. That's the biggest thing. I just feel the front three just could barely get the ball.
It all stems from the midfield, and you could kind of see like Telly's had a lack of chemistry with Maguire and James because they don't play together. And then I just think also the substitutions. I understand you're trying to rest Wan-Bissaka and Bruno because we've got West Ham coming up and we're already riddled with injuries. But my God, did the substitutions make sense to you? Because
I did. They didn't, but I'm looking at it like flipping it. We're going to go negative now because we went to a 5 at the back and a 2 up top, and then I'm like, with the injuries that he's got and the lack of anything on the bench, I'm thinking, well, there's only 2 attackers on the bench. There was only Ahmad and Shola. That's all we had. Then you've got Fred, 2 goalkeepers and 4 defenders. Like it was only going to be one outcome with the changes today. I don't think we was ever going to be happy with the changes. Although at least the only credit I do give is that the fact that because Martial did get injured, at least he didn't try and say, "Oh, I'm going to put Bruno in the false 9 because I really don't want to use Ahmad," and then put, I don't know, Greenwood 10 or something, or I don't know.
That's the thing. These are the expectations. Ahmad's played in the Champions League for Atlanta. Yeah. Like, he definitely played in today's game, and he showed that. I'm so happy he got that goal. And
a great goal, wasn't it? I
actually thought it was a great goal, and it was a great run as well. It was really, really intelligent. And that was the highlight of the game for me, because when them substitutions got made, I was like, right, we're playing 5 at the back, we're playing Fred as a cam. What do you expect? You're just inviting the pressure onto you. I think you in this game, you should have just held out, because if you're serious about the Europa League, you can't afford to concede an away goal. But no, once again, when we don't want to concede, we go defensive and we get caught out under the pressure. And the pressure was building all game. Never mind when you let them come onto you like we did. I just knew as soon as we got that corner, I thought, this is it. And that's how you know it's an ongoing problem. The lack of movement is an ongoing problem. Not being able to deal with press is an ongoing problem. And yes, we played very well against City. And this is why it confuses me, because Ollie and the team, because it's both, can pull off a performance like that against a top side. And I thought Ollie tactically outdid Pep. I thought the players played better.
And then we do this.
On games like today, games against Crystal Palace, we turn up, we know we've got it wrong from the start. There's no change around it. And then when we manage to actually get a goal due to like individual brilliance, which usually is the way it is, because God, we miss Rashford, God, we miss Pogba. We then, when we're still getting pressed and still playing badly, still not kicking to gear, there's nothing to change it, absolutely nothing. And you would have thought over the course of the game you would be able to change how the players are playing. That's the only thing I always doubt, like, what are you doing in the game to change the outcome? And a lot of the time when we start poorly, it takes a bit of individual brilliance to get us started in playing well. But even today when we scored that goal, we still didn't look like we were going to score. And then the substitutions, I thought he was asking for it. I really thought it was. And God knows how it's going to go on when they've got Zlatan back and they're at home, because they've got that important away goal now, and that could really prove vital for us.
We have to go there and score. And we haven't even spoke about the misses from Harry Maguire and Daniel James as well.
Oh my God, don't even get me started on that. I mean, I could have scored that chance without my glasses on, and I'm as blind as anything, I tell you that. I think my nan could have scored that chance. Again, a miss. How many times though was Rashford, Martial missed these chances as well? You can't just blame Harry Maguire. There's so many been bad misses. And then James as well on the back post. I'm sorry, I almost think that one was as bad. It was basically an open net on the back post. And
yeah, no, but the Maguire one, he's on that one there.
Maguire probably is a lot worse.
That one there is a madness.
But both of them, and it's like you could have potentially, even though we didn't deserve it, you could have actually potentially been 2-3-1 up.
Exactly. And if you don't do that, then at least get the 1-0 and get out. It's a bad performance. You get players back next week. At least you didn't concede. We chalk it off. And it's just that naivety. We keep conceding late goals and set pieces.
Yeah, naive game management and lack of improvement in key vital areas. And the only thing you can do is blame the coaching for that, because surely you would know as the coaching staff that these errors keep happening. We need to be able to solve them, and you would start solving them quickly. I mean, I've brought it up before, but the likes of Thomas Tuchel came in at Chelsea, overnight they started playing differently and started addressing the problems. That's the kind of improvement you want to see quickly, but it's been ongoing now, and you just think to yourself, are these ever going to improve? Even when we get a better centre back, like say if we bought Varane in the summer, is it going to improve the positional sense of the players? I don't know. Obviously, it will improve a bit because Varane's a better centre half, but there's still coaching and tactical things that has to be put in place to be able to play well. I mean, that's why certain teams can miss players and still play the same way as they are. But yeah, that's one that needs to be addressed, because the inconsistency, it's mad. Honestly, I've never seen a team be so inconsistent. But I thought the one positive as well, apart from that, well, it's not a positive because he was playing for the other team. I actually thought Dalot started pretty excitingly.
Yeah, he did.
But he kind of faded out throughout the match. But I thought his runs and the way he drives with the ball, it's very different to Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka's leaps and bounds ahead defensively, do not get me wrong. But it was nice to see kind of the versatility in the right backs that we do have, because we still do only one.
Yeah, he was in at left back today as well. So yeah.
Exactly.
We go again Sunday, West Ham. Listen, no point beating City if you're going to go and drop points to West Ham, who are playing very well, who are looking to get in the Champions League and deserve to be where they are. Another tough game, especially if certain players aren't back yet. I think she's gone. Anyway, we got to the end of the interview there. Peace.